Hello, everyone. This is Wilson Cole, and I'm president of Adams, Evans, and Ross and Backdoor Hire Solutions and managing partner of ELOC Global. I am here with my lovely daughter and our general counsel and attorney, Samantha. How are you doing, Samantha?
I am doing well, trying to stay warm, but
I understand. It is winter here in Atlanta, and for our Southern California clients or our Southern Florida clients, they will appreciate that we're barely getting out of our 30s into the low 40s today. For our clients in Wisconsin, yes, we are that much of a wimp here. Well, Sam, I want to take a moment and talk specifically to our staffing and recruiting clients that do medical and particularly medical facilities. We've had some things at our desk, and we do a tremendous amount of collection for medical staffing and recruiting firms, for NALTO members, for nursing firms. And the one thing that is true is if you are doing a facility, whether it's a small hospital, whether it's a mid-sized hospital, or my all-time favorite is some type of rehab or nursing center, these facilities can change hands. And we've had some where they've changed hands and the old owners paid it. We've had them where they've changed hands and the new owners have paid it. And we've had it where they've changed hands and they're both pointing at each other saying it's not our problem. It's the other guy's problem. Then we've also had some where they have been shut down, filed for bankruptcy, bought by a company in an asset sale. And that covers a wide range. And I just kind of want to touch on some of those subjects from a legal aspect. But to me, our staffing and recruiting clients all have a risk, but medical staffing and recruiting firms have a specific risk because these facilities change hands under new management companies just quite a bit. And so, Sam, let's take a nursing home where it's one facility, it's owned by a company that maybe has 8 different facilities. Now, we've had this discussion before, that main facility or the main parent company doesn't owe the bill. If you're doing business with, and I'm just going to fictitiously make up a name, Atlanta Nursing Home, which if there is an Atlanta Nursing Home, it has nothing to do with it. I'm just, it could be, Wilson's Nursing Home, but that just hits too close to home. But Atlanta Nursing Home.
It'll be a nice one at least.
Hopefully it would be a nice one. Yeah, make sure I have a good view. But it's one of those to where if that company were to go out of business or be bought by another nursing home, our client could be totally 100% out of money and there's nothing that they could do on those receivables after that sell date. Kind of give us the legal overview of that. And I'll kind of give some collections that don't necessarily fall under legal. It's maybe a little bit of smoke and mirrors, but don't underestimate the power of smoke and mirrors. But from a legal standpoint, tell us how that is.
Well, I mean, it really depends also on each individual contract. If we're talking parent company subsidiaries who is requesting, because I've also seen where we've had these multiple facility situations where everything scheduling and requesting for temporaries is done at the main level and then directed to each individual facility. And then they try to put the financials back on the individual facility.
Okay, so if you're dealing with the parent company and that's who signed the contract, then they try to say, no, it's really this company that we're selling. Then we have a leg to stand on. Yes. It's like, no, we did business with you.
Well, even if the contract signed with, I've seen where contract signed with the individual facility, but scheduling goes through the main office.
Okay. So
it really all comes down to, and I know you hate this, but it's like, when we throw out these hypotheticals, if I'm sitting here going, but the 4 corners of the contract, what does the contract say? I get a little laser focused.
So how do our clients, if you're a nursing firm and you're dealing with a company that has, Atlanta Nursing Home, and let's say they own Birmingham Nursing Home, Austin Nursing Home, or whatever, how do you make sure that you have different layers of protection? How would you structure that under those 4 corners of the contract?
I'd have some sort of any assignment, because also what you run into is it may sell on day 336 of the year, and you're still invoicing and you still have employees there and you don't know that it's happened, at that point, having any assignment must be done, give written heads up, almost like if your mortgage is sold.
Okay.
Where having, and there's different wording I've seen that it's hard to come up on the top of my head, because you also tell me these topics 10 minutes before we jump into it. But there's wording that you can do to make sure that if they go to sell, they've got to give you a heads up,
okay,
or everybody becomes responsible for that debt.
And that is one of the things I know some of our clients have said, that they have to be notified in writing. And if they fail to notify in writing, then, everybody's responsible. We've got some stuff running through the Texas court system right now. And we've had some mixed results. Sometimes it falls in our favor, sometimes it doesn't. The way that in the old days, I still would say handle it one of two ways. And tell me if, from a legal aspect, if I'm wrong with either one of these, or if there's a better way to do it. I would have done it with some type of cross-corporate guarantee, where the parent company guaranteed it. So it's almost like a personal guarantee from the corporation, or become a secured creditor. Now, becoming a secured creditor doesn't ensure that you'll still get paid, but you have an interest. And now if it's a seizure where they're taking it over, but if they're selling it to another company, you've got to be paid before they can sell it off, unless it's some type of foreclosure action. Is that not correct?
It gets really messy. I know the secured creditor lines, when it comes to employment, aren't as strong as if you were putting in the mortgage on the building or things along those lines. That, yeah, you can go and spend it and you can have the hassle, and you'd at least have the benefit that I see most isn't in the guarantee that you'd get paid, but you'd have the benefit of knowing it was coming.
That's interesting to say that, because whenever we've had a client be in a secured position, it always happens like this. Hey, Wilson, I just got a call from the debtor's attorney, and the debtor says that they're about to sue me because they have no idea that we were a secured creditor. Well, there's some special wording that when they sign off on it, it gives you permission. But here's how both of those items where our client was a secured creditor worked. Is the attorney says, we think we can challenge it and get it set aside, which we can argue. And I realize this, what drives me crazy with attorneys is nothing is ever black and white. It's just shades of beige and gray. But the argument is they can try to get it set aside. But then they always follow up with, but that will take energy and time and effort. We would be willing, our client owes you $72,000. We'd be willing to pay $45,000 for you to go away. Now, at least that opens up the negotiations, and that time that they would try to fight to get that UCC set aside, they may lose the deal and things along those lines. So it becomes a lot easier for them to go ahead and pay our clients. In both cases that our clients were secured creditors, they didn't have to fight it out in court. They were paid before the sale went through. And that notification does give you some options there. But the biggest thing is
because we've also had one that was working its way through the system, that this wasn't a secured creditor, but on a sale where we got a notification, and it was like Wall Street Journal or some Bloomberg or some publication, that there was a possibility of this sale, and it gave the forwarding attorney a lot of leverage. And this is one that you the forwarding attorney, and I debated.
Yes, we had an offer on that particular one where they were willing to pay half. Our client says, I want every single dime. And I told the client, I said, look, I could be wrong, but typically when they get ready for the sale, he wasn't a secured creditor. They could try to do some asset sale. You may not get anything. It's your call. And he says, I want to go for broke. And so the attorney went for broke. And on that particular one, he got paid every single dime that he was owed. And that is where, the advance notification allowed our clients some maneuvering room. And in my opinion, a secured creditor agreement, or being a secured creditor, at least puts you into where you get that advance notification when they do their search. Because what happens is, whenever you're a secured creditor and they go out, you file it with the courthouse, and we do another whole webinar on that, and certainly go out and look for it. We don't have time to cover it here, but it's a record of the debt that shows up. So if somebody's going to go buy a company, the first thing they do is they go pull a courthouse search to see if there's any encumbrances on the business, and that UCC1 shows up as you're a secured creditor. And so, where, in my opinion, that helps
also,
you.
make sure you do it where they're incorporated. I have seen those go bad in so many ways.
Okay, where you're
trying to file a UCC1 not where the debtor is located.
Oh, yes, definitely file it. It has to be filed. And that's one thing I always say, Samantha, and we don't do it because we're over on the collection side, but I always say use a service or use an attorney to file the UCC1. That way, if they file it in the wrong area, you may have a claim against your insurance company because it was filed in the wrong area. But yes, you have to file it in the county in which the debtor was, where the debtor's incorporated, in the state where the debtor is incorporated. Perfect example is we're headquartered out of Georgia, but more specifically Cherokee County, Georgia. And so any UCC1s would be filed there at the courthouse in Cherokee County. Your debtor would be the same way. So you need to know what county they're in and file it. If you file it in your state and they're in a neighboring state, it's not going to do any good. Samantha, so your argument would be the four corners of it. So you're probably a bigger fan of some type of cross corporate guarantee to tie in.
Tie-in or notification of assignment or things like that.
Okay.
Because you can also get it where, and this goes to an extreme, and would they sign it, would they not, of cross corporate, or get a personal guarantee.
Yes.
That also includes if you sell without notifying us.
Yeah. Well, the personal guarantee, in most cases, you have an administrator, and then you have some, there could be ultimately there's an individual that owes it, but I find personal guarantees, especially for nursing home and medical facilities, become much tougher to get, where a UCC or a cross-corporate guarantee is a little bit more familiar. A cross-corporate guarantee, that sounds very legal, but what that basically says is you can do it one of two ways. One is to be a form that says, hey, I'm Adams, Evans, and Ross, and I guarantee any debt for debt and asset management. Or it could be, ELOC Global is the parent company, and any of our affiliates or companies, we guarantee their debt. That's going to be a cross-corporate guarantee. I think a cross-corporate guarantee is going to be easier to get than a personal guarantee. I still like the UCC1 route from a lending perspective. All banks and lenders use UCC1s because UCC1 law is so tested, but it's also something that the debtor's attorney would have a tough time fighting, assuming that the principal or the owner signed it. If you had a collection or somebody in HR sign it, they'd get that UCC1 set aside pretty quick. It has to be one.
Not the UCC1, the personal guarantee.
Well, no, the UCC1, because you have to have perceived, if it's an owner that signs that they're given an interest, they have the right to give an interest. But if it's, the janitor, he can't give away the keys to.
But if it's the administrator
could. Yeah, administrator definitely, because I mean that's going to be somebody with that perceived authority. But I always like, just to me, it's also easier to hide the wording for a UCC1, where a cross corporate guarantee, it becomes very clear what you're doing. But anyway, the biggest thing is set credit lines. Make sure that you're covered, know who you're dealing with, and also understand that if you're dealing with these different facilities, they can start selling off these facilities. And once they start doing that, depending on how they're sold and how your contract reads, you may or may not get paid.
And also make sure you know what the LLC name is.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Of these facilities or some sort of DBA.
Oh, absolutely. It would be, in our example of, Atlanta nursing home, and there again, fictitious name that I created, it may be, Wilson L. Cole Enterprises LLC doing business as, Atlanta nursing home. So that is because if you don't know who that is, and Georgia Secretary of State in that case, or whatever Secretary of State would know, but you want to know who it is exactly that you're dealing with, that you get those guarantees. And then also you want to keep track of your candidates, because if they sell to this new entity, backdoor hires happen a lot of times, and you want to make sure that you also, and that needs to be in the contract as well, as if they're hired, but just keeping track of your candidates, because if somebody's backdoor hired your candidate, let's say they did it this year, in a year and a half, you didn't know that they were backdoor hired and they get sold, then you find out that John Smith is working there. The new company is not going to owe you in most cases for what the past company had done. So you want to make sure that you do keep track of those backdoor hires. Sam, any closing statements on this?
I think my biggest thing is, especially when you're dealing with these sorts of things, is know who you're dealing with.
Know who you're dealing with, and also understand there's layers of protection that you can put on there. Knowing who you're dealing with, getting a cross corporate guarantee, or using some type of UCC 1 filing. Sam, thanks for joining me. I appreciate it. And to all of our medical staffing clients out there, if you want to talk to me about a collection issue that you've got, give me a call, 800-452-5287. I'm at extension 6578, or shoot me an email, wilson@aercollections.com, and my assistant will get you on my calendar. Thank you, Sam, for joining me.
Anytime.